Shabbos even.
Shalom everyone, just want to share with you a short machshava. We have a double parsha this week, Parshas Acharei Mais and Parshas Kedeshim. I want to talk about something in Parshas Kedeshim. Parshas Kedeshim, we have the famous pasuk that Rabbi Akiva said was a klal gadol b'Torah, a fundamental principle of the Torah. V'ahavta l'reyacha kamocha. You must love your reya, your friend, like you love yourself. And this is the mitzvah of Avas Yisrael, the mitzvah of caring about a yid the way you care for yourself, l'reyacha. And there are a few different ha'aras. There's a lot to talk about here. One ha'ara is this a requirement? Is this a mitzvah of regesh or a mitzvah of maisa? There are some meforshim that understands that v'yahavta l'reyacha is not referring to the emotion of love. Sometimes, we don't have those emotions, but it's referring to the chiyuv to do things for another person that you would like to have done for you. In other words, it is a behavioral directive rather than an emotional commandment. On the other hand, we have the Sefer HaChinuch that says, Adam nifal kefi pu'ulaisav. If I act towards people in a loving and caring manner, eventually what will happen is my emotions themselves will be loving. So instead of saying my actions are the outgrowth of my positive feelings, it may very well be that the halacha is predicated on the opposite assumption, that it's your emotional feelings will be the outgrowth of your actions. So that's a machlokas. Is v'ahavta feel love, or is v'ahavta do loving things, and al yedei kach you will come to feelings? So that's one ha'ara, and indeed this is the yesod gadol of the Sefer HaChinuch, that our actions define our emotions. Even in marriage counseling, it's often the case. We tell a person, act as if you loved, and you will come to love. Another ha'ara is that the word for friend, sometimes translated as neighbor, is reya. And we know that another word for a friend is a chaver. So it is said, and people ask me the makar of this, I had heard it was from the Ksava HaKabbalah, but I was not able to find it. So to ka'es, I do not have a makar. But there is a nafkamina between the definition of chaver and the definition of reya. Chaver comes from the chaber, to connect, to unite. So a chaver is someone that I'm naturally connected to. We think the same way. We agree on everything. So the Torah doesn't say, love your chaver as you love yourself. That would be easy. Of course I love the chaver because he thinks exactly like me. But reya, which means friend, but it's also connected to ra, to evil, liroeya, to break up. That refers to a person who doesn't see the world the way I see the world. There's disintegration, there's dissension. There are differences. The reya looks at things in a very different way. For a reya, it's very hard to love. He doesn't see things like I see things. So the Torah says, not only shall you love your chaver as you love yourself, but you have to love your reya as you love yourself. And that's a much, much bigger avodah. And let me point out that husband and wife are called in the Sheva Brachos, Reim Ahuvim, beloved Reim, beloved friends. Not beloved Chaverim, but beloved Reim. Because men and women are different. They see the world in a different way. And the way one grows in a marriage is not by insisting that their way is the right way, but by understanding what the other person feels and what the other person thinks. And in that way you grow to become greater than the sum of the individual parts. In the Sfarim it says, that's why a marriage partner, a wife, is called Ezer Kenegdo, a helpmate to be opposite. What is it? A helpmate or an opposite? The answer is, through the opposite is the helpmate. Instead of just doubling up on whatever your limitations are, you learn bedafka by listening to the other hashkafa and opening your heart up to those other points. The Ezer Kenegdai, the Re'im Ahuvim. A final nakuda that needs to be noted is, of course, V'yahavta l'reacha kamecha, to love my friend as I love myself, presupposes that there's a musag of loving yourself. If you think you're garbage, you think you're worthless, you think you have nothing to offer, you will not be able to love another person because you will look at them the same way. It's only when a person is makir, the godless ha'adam, the greatness of their own neshama, can they then look at other people and see their greatness as well. This, of course, is a very, very important message for Sfiras HaOmer. Sfiras HaOmer is the time when the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died. And it's so strange. Rabbi Akiva himself taught, V'yahavta l'reyacha kamecha is the klal gadol b'Torah. And yet his 24,000 students died between Pesach and Shavuos. Because whatever this means, lefi their madrega, they did not show proper kavod and regard and respect for each other. And that's why it's brought down. We have avelis and sphira. We don't get married. We don't listen to music. But primarily, this is not an end in and of itself. But it's to be ma'orer us, to awaken us, that we have to rectify the sin of the students of Rabbi Akiva by focusing on seeing the good in the other person, by being machshiv the other person, and by loving the other person, to grow in Avas Yisrael and to grow into kavod. But that also includes being machshiv ourselves and loving ourselves. Because when we see the radiance of our neshamas, we're then able to see the radiance and goodness of those other neshamas. And that in turn is connected to preparing for Matan Torah. Because in order to be makabel the Torah, we have to be ki ish echad uvalev echad. There has to be achda. So working on the avodah to be mesake in the sin of the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva and preparing for Matan Torah are not two different things. It's all connected. Through the achdus of ish echad uvalev echad, we will be zeicha to be makabel HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah. May He give us the zechus and the kayach to create this achdus, to be makir ourselves, to be makir others. In Al Yedei Kach, may we be zeicha to stand again at Har Sinai with a nasa v'nishma ki ish echad uvalev echad. A good Shabbos.